and welcome to the Elevate B2B podcast, a show where we have conversations that inform, include, and inspire the best in B2B marketing. I'm your host, Lee Odden, CEO of TopRank Marketing, and today we're talking with my longtime friend, Pam Didner. Now, Pam is an expert. Yay! Pam's an expert at the bringing together the intersection of sales and marketing. She is author of multiple books. She's a global keynote speaker, world traveler. She just happens to be in Taiwan right now.
Yes, I am.
And she is VP of Marketing at Relentless Pursuit. Welcome to the Elevate B2B Marketing podcast, Pam.
Lee, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
It's so good to see you again. It's been a little while since we've seen each other. And I'm super excited to dig in. So for those that are tuning in for the first time to Elevate B2B, the purpose of this podcast is a focus on helping to lift up those in the B2B marketing world that are both creating impact, and that's definitely Pam, and making a difference. We're committed to telling stories that are optimistic, ambitious, authentic, with the goal of being equal parts informative and inspiring. So let's get started. Now, Pam, before all the buzz about ChatGPT, AI's played a role in B2B marketing for quite some time. I'm wondering what your opinion is about the most impactful applications for B2B marketing that you've seen so far because of AI.
The most popular application that I've seen right now tend to be the AI-assisted writing platform, such as Writer and other writing platforms, because you can actually open the platform and you can brief the artificial intelligence, and then they can actually write based on how you brief them. And a lot of the content marketers and even companies are using that. And they are all using, majority of them are using pretty correctly, if you will, in a way that they will actually brief the artificial intelligence or the algorithm, and they will write a piece of article. But a lot of people treating that as a first draft, and that's usually what machine is thinking and gathering that information from multiple different sources. That's not your point of view, and that doesn't reflect your expertise, and they also don't know your products. So you use that as a first draft, as a starting point. Then you add additional colors to it, add your point of view, add your style, add your branding guideline. Then you create a content that makes a lot of sense. So the one I have seen, the most popular tend to be writing assistant enabled platforms.
Awesome. So we're both going to see each other next week at the B2B MX conference, where you're talking about.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
It'll be so much fun to see you.
I think you've spoken at this conference more than 10 years in a row or something like that. I mean, many, many years. It's been a long time, and it's a really vibrant event. Anyway, this time you're talking about marketing plus the machine, sizing up AI's emerging impact on efficiency versus risks to creativity, which I was really happy to see that you're talking about that, because it's such a timely topic, and it's something that's on a lot of people's minds. So for folks who are tuning in and or listening or reading or whatever, you can see more in-depth insights from Pam about AI next week at the B2B MX conference in Scottsdale. But let's ask a couple more questions about AI and what it means for B2B marketing. So there are really a lot of applications for AI in marketing, but few have had as much attention as the one you just talked about. And those are those dealing with content creation. It can be text, or it can be, images, or it can even be in video in some cases. And I'm wondering what your opinion is. Do you think generative AI tools like ChatGPT or DALL-E or whatever have the ability to create something that is truly entirely new and original?
So let's talk about that for a couple minutes. And currently, the artificial intelligence that we are using is called a weak AI. Basically, they can do a specific task competently. And a lot of time, they are trained, right? And the way that they've been trained is you feed the data to them. and where is the data coming from? It's either from the internet or from your company's sources. And it usually is a massive amount of data. But you have to think about it. Who actually creates the types of data I'm talking about? It's coming from us, the human. Then how do they learn? It's based on the algorithms that we created. So with that being said, the way that the content, what we call original content that's created by artificial intelligence, is coming actually from humans' input. Is that helpful? So is that original? That's
Yeah.
subject to debate because there's the input information that feed into the machine, right? So because of that information to feed into them, they created something. And somebody can call that original, but the other people can call basically that's just a human-based information or content that's created, by the algorithm. It's debatable and also depending probably on the legal definition as well. From my perspective, it's very hard to determine the originality of it. Like, for example, if I created a piece of art, I can call that original because, I can put down Pam Didner created. But when the AI created a piece of art, they gather information from multiple different sources. And that touch on the copyright issue, because some of the art or some of the content that's created probably pretty prominent that you can identify the sources where they gather or pull that information from. So I don't know. I don't have answer for that. I think eventually there's going to be a huge debate and it's going to be a policy making and also the legality and also the law that has been set up to determine what's the definition of AI.
Yeah, that's a good point. And, a lot of folks are really wondering and are paying attention because of so much to what AI can do for their business and tools. Again, like I'll pick on ChatGPT and DALL-E and whatever. Because they're so easy to use and they're so readily available. And so many people have started to play with them. And which ironically, of course, is another human data input collection opportunity for the tools to get smarter and smarter. But, the issue of originality has existed in the art world for a long time where people are inspired by others. And is that inspiration original or is it something else?
I totally agree. Exactly. So, but a lot of time the originality is also very subjective, if you will. And it's very hard to define what that is. I mean, same story probably been told a million times. But they are told by different genre, like love story. Love story is a love story, but there are so many love stories out there because of different genre, different timing, different character development, and all that. If you think about it, there are many stories or many movies. You probably watch it and you'll say, you know what, I've seen that before, and I totally understand that, but I don't have an answer for that, but from my perspective, it's very hard to define originality for that any kind of art or content created by artificial intelligence as of today. And that you can say original because they pull sources from different places.
Well, speaking, so as far as the sources, you mentioned that those sources are human generated, right? The data in most cases originates from human creation. And in terms of using these tools, there's another angle towards the human input, right? I mean, these tools they're not magic or automatic. And I'm wondering if you could explain the role of—
They cannot read your mind. They cannot read your mind.
Yeah.
Enter something.
Well, maybe someday, right?
Yeah. You have to brief age, like if I want to have a creative concept done, I have to brief a creative agency. So the same thing applies. If you want AI or the algorithm to do something, you have to brief artificial intelligence. There's no different than briefing, say, a real humans or briefing, say, the artificial intelligence, because the agency cannot read your mind and neither can the artificial intelligence. So you have to brief them. And you are totally right. You have to enter the text or you have to explain to them what you are looking for. And then they can create something for you. And then you can determine, does that make sense? does that meet my expectation?
Exactly. You know, a lot of people are getting all caught up in AIs, like, is this going to take jobs? Is this going to do this or that? And it's like, really, it's a tool, right? It's a
I
tool like
not
email,
yet,
a browser,
not
a
yet,
spreadsheet.
right? If somebody is actually creating like a robot, like a marketing robot, kind of like either Pam or Lee, that eventually can take like, can wear multiple hats, then I 100% agree. But nobody's creating that robot yet. As far as I can tell, maybe someone is doing that. And every single platform or any kind of AI-based tools, they tend to perform one task. And that task is pretty narrow. So is it taking over anybody's job as of yet? Probably not, but in the future, will that happen? Possibly will. But at this point, from my perspective, I agree with you, is a tool that we can take advantage of.
Yeah, you know, I forget, I'm sorry, but I don't know the source, but it's like AI is not going to take anyone's job, but someone who's an expert at using AI will.
I like that statement, actually. I do.
And I will look up who the or source of that quote, or yeah, I'm inspired by someone else's quote, right?
Yeah, but I can see that. I
Yeah.
think there's an insight to it, but don't you think that's no different than what we are doing right now? So they are the expert in the AI. So, but it's just like you, Lee, you are the expert on the influencer marketing. You are the expert actually on SEO. So you are taking over somebody's job who are not the experts, right? So to me, there's no difference. It's, if you want to know something, you have to be the expert. So
Yeah, and I think
it's no longer human versus machine. It's basically, you just have to continuously learn and make sure that whatever the field that you are going after, you continue to stay on top of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And also expertise with tools. There's an expression I've used for a long time. A tool is only as effective as the expertise of the person using it, right?
100%.
And AI is no different. Do you think that, you know, there are these issues of originality and you know, that sort of inspiration or whatever, but do you think AI tools pose any ethical or legal risks associated with their use in terms of creative or marketing projects?
I think it does. I do. You know, I can talk from two different perspectives, right? So when ChatGPT came out and all the universities and the K to 12, especially universities and high school, like all the teachers are freaking out because there's no way to detect plagiarism. So you can copy someone's work, or the artificial intelligence can create something and maybe add additional color to it, but it's not created by the students themselves. So that's one, which is kind of like, how do you make sure that the students continue to learn, and it's not like AI learning on their behalf, if you will. And then the other part of it is more the one, so I talk about the education part, and the other one is, what about the content? The visual was created by artificial intelligence, and but it's really pull different sources from the internet. And the company are using the AI generated type of the visual. If you don't know where the sources are, and that you didn't pay for the licensing fee, and if you got sued by using that art, it does create risks, especially business risks for the B2B company. So my recommendation for all my clients, especially on the visuals, is still buying the photo stocks. So if you want to play with AI generated type of art or the visuals, you need to make sure that you have disclaimers and also have a conversation with your legal team and get their legal advice before you actually use it openly and publicly.
So as you know, there's been this rapid acceleration of adoption of, because again, of availability and ease of use of companies using AI tools to, you know, create content and do all sorts of things, right? Asking, especially with the chat functions, where they could literally just ask questions about whatever. I'm wondering, so they're thinking about, in this popularity and this adoption, about how people can, you know, what does this mean for someone's job? In fact, there's a lot of people who haven't tried yet, and they're wondering about how to connect the dots between AI and what they do as marketers on a day-to-day basis. How can marketers do that? How can they best understand where AI can play a role in what they do day to day?
That depends on your job functions from my perspective. I'm just going to use, say, content creation as one example, or if you are a content marketer. And obviously, you can use the AI generated writing tool to actually help you to create content. And if you are email marketing, for example, and you are using certain kind of marketing automation tools, you probably should look into the tools that you use and see if they actually have AI generated features that has been associated with that specific platform. And so talk to your vendors and understand some of the platforms you are using. Try to understand that the features and the functionality as much as you can, and then find a way to leverage that. And I understand artificial intelligence can be overwhelming, and everybody use AI very differently. And my recommendation for anybody who is actually not familiar with artificial intelligence or any kind of development at this point is looking at what you do on day-to-day basis, your roles and your responsibility, and think about it, how AI can apply. And especially anything that's repetitive, for example, right? Anything that's repetitive, can AI take over that kind of a job scope? And or anything that's content creation, which is, I come back to that again, and can AI do some of that work for you, but you treat it as a first draft?
Got it. So what advice, Pam, do you have for marketers that want to take advantage of these AI capabilities and even possibilities, but they really don't know where to start?
My take on that, the easiest way is everybody does digital marketing. That means everybody use different kind of tools, right? If you are very familiar with your tools, fantastic. But if you are not, you only use limited functions and the features of your tools, talk to your vendors. I think the best way to educate yourselves on the artificial intelligence is actually leverage your agencies and leverage your vendors. They know a lot more than us because they actually focus on specific disciplines and also specific field. So leverage them, have them talk to you. Like, for example, Lee, I'm pretty sure LinkedIn is your client, and you work with them very closely on a lot of content creation and also on the SEO stuff. They come to you, they ask your opinion, right? So if you don't actually have that kind of knowledge, I would try to leverage your agencies and also your vendors as much as you can. Try to learn from them. They know a lot.
Yes. Well, I couldn't agree more. And you think about agencies and vendors are in the job of solving problems for a wide scope and breadth of companies. So
I like
that
that.
cumulative knowledge is something brands would definitely do well to tap into, for sure.
I mean, of course, all the vendors and all the agency, they want to sell you something. That's all. Also be honest about that. But a lot of time also depends on your needs. But if you actually ask them specifically about their expertise, many agencies and also vendors would love to share that with you. So.
Sure. Well, and part of the engagement, relationship is education, because it's in the interest of the vendor, the agency, to make sure that the client B2B brand is becoming increasingly sophisticated about how they use the agency or the vendor's capabilities, right? And in that case, success occurs and everyone wins, right? I
totally agree.
Yeah. So let's ask Pam GPT.
Okay.
What do you think modern AI or how do you think modern AI is going to impact the future of marketing? So we're looking at, in the world of AI, of course, 6 months is a million years in the future, but 6 months, a year or more, what do you think the role of AI will play in B2B marketing?
So the way I see kind of like a digital marketing. So when we made that transition from like a traditional marketing to like a print ad to a digital marketing, which is everything online. And that took a while, but now I'm not saying print is dead. Print still a certain, I would say, field, they still are very, very popular, if you will. But majority of the marketing is really digital marketing. And for the AI, it's very similar to that tradition from like, very similar, making a transition from the traditional to actually digital. And for the AI, you have to think that the next phase of the digital is really about automation, right? And try to automate as many processes as steps as possible. And one of the functionality, or one of the things that AI can do very, very well, is actually identify mundane tasks. And then people can write a code to do that kind of specific tasks. So in theory, that's my theory, if you will. If you look at any kind of marketing flow, and if you want to automate the marketing flow, from my perspective, artificial intelligence should be able to, in my theory, play in every single steps and every single stage in that process. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you think that way, artificial intelligence is going to impact your job in every single aspect. But again, that doesn't mean that it's going to take your job. You just need to make sure you stay on top of it. You need to stay on top of it. You, just like you said, Lee, you need to understand the technology. I remember that when the first time I met you, you are really the SEO expert, but SEO also has changed so much. But how much you stay on top of it in the past 10 years, all the time, right? And that applies to artificial intelligence, is understand the technology's impact on the jobs you do, and how can you optimize it? How can you make it better? And that will also determine how you're going to use artificial intelligence.
You know, makes me Ginny Rometty, IBM CEO, made a comment at an event where they were talking early about enterprise level applications for artificial intelligence. And she made this comment like, think of it as assistive intelligence, assisted intelligence. It's assisting you in getting something done.
Good analogy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Exactly. Again, it's not automagic. And yes, it'll be useful for mundane and repetitive tasks, but there's a lot of opportunity if you think of it as a tool to accelerate, to optimize, to enable you to do even more, just like any other tool. Pam, one question we ask all our guests on Elevate B2B is this. Okay. What brings you the most joy when it comes to B2B marketing?
That's a great question. I think I want to answer that in two different ways. And one is probably the personal level. I love to help B2B marketers succeed. I like to make them like a rock star, to make them look great in front of their management and also their peers. So that is one thing that brings joy to me, is I make my clients, or I make people succeed. And the other one, it's kind of like, is as a B2B marketer, if I were B2B, I am a B2B marketer, never mind. But if I'm actually working in a company as a B2B marketer, what will make me very happy is I can show the impact of a marketing and what I do. And a lot of time that has to work directly with the sales team. So be able to articulate your impact, or I am able to articulate the impact for my clients, that makes me very, very happy. So
awesome.
Like, see what B2B marketers can do, right?
It's not a cost center, it's a profit center.
Exactly. Right? And you should be able to see it.
So really appreciate all the time you spent. Pam, what's the best way for people to connect with you, other than coming to see you at B2BMX next week?
That would be great. Come to B2BMX to see me. I would love to see you and say hi, if you will. And you can reach me in pretty much all social media channels except TikTok.
Okay.
I am not ready to showcase my dance steps yet, so I'm taking my time. Okay, I'm taking my time. But any other social media channels, you can find me, and of course my website pamdidner.com. And feel free to reach out anytime if you have any B2B marketing related questions.
Fantastic. We'll make sure that we include links to all your socials in the show notes. So thank you, Pam, so much for sharing your wisdom and insights and helping us to do our small part to help elevate the craft of B2B marketing.
Thank you so much for having me. And it's wonderful talking to you again, Lee. And I see you next week.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Elevate B2B Marketing podcast is brought to you, of course, by the team at TopRank Marketing, where we help enterprise B2B technology companies get more customers through content, search, and influencer marketing. You can find us online at toprankmarketing.com. Be sure to subscribe to Elevate B2B podcast, as we have an amazing roster of speakers, industry thought leaders, experts, professionals, and just general B2B marketing smarties scheduled, and you're not going to want to miss it.